Hey everyone, on this episode of Dad Sews, we're going to take a bib like this and make it bigger, faster, stronger. We have the technology. How are we going to do it? Well, with a little bit of bias tape and probably a whole lot of luck. You want to see how? Stay tuned.
Dad Sews! Dad Sews! Dad Sews! Dad Sews! Dad Sews! Dad Sews! This is how it goes with Dad Sews!
Hey everyone, thanks again for joining me for this latest episode of Dad Sews. Now, my wife bought a bunch of these bibs. They have little snaps in the back and they go around your baby's neck like this. It can't fit around my fat neck, but it's for babies. Although I often need one when eating things like ribs and sloppy joes. All right, now, what don't we like about this bib that we want to change it? Well, for one thing, it just goes around the baby's neck and that's it. And the baby is constantly tugging at it. She's going to be 1 year old soon. Now, bibs are great for more than just feeding. They're great for protecting my wife's shirt when my daughter's drooling all over everything. It's great for giving her something to play with instead of my wife's necklace and choking her out. The problem is one little tug and she pulls this off. And also, it doesn't go around her securely. When it's just around her neck, she can easily pull it off. So we're going to make it a little bit bigger and put armholes in it to make it more of a bib slash smock. Okay, now how are we going to make a bib just like this? Well, we traced this out on a piece of butcher's paper and then we made it bigger. Then we measured where the armholes were going to be for my daughter. As you can see, it's quite bigger. That way it gives a little room to hang under the arms. Kind of looks like I'm wearing a really whack brassiere right now. All right, so what we're gonna do is cut out this really cute fabric in that pattern, and then we're gonna wrap it in bias tape. Now, if you don't know how to make double fold bias tape, well, click this magic window right here. Ooh, look at the magic window. I walk you through exactly how to make bias tape for another project where I use this fabric as the main fabric. That's the cool thing about bias tape. It's stretchy, it's cool, and you can make it out of your leftover fabric from other projects. I'm going to go ahead and cut out this pattern, use my butcher paper, and then I will be right back with the next step. All right, now as you can see, we have the holes for the arms cut right into our pattern, and we just folded the pattern in half, laid it on the fabric on the fold, and then just traced it with our rotary cutter, which is perfect for going around these edges. Now, my wife measured the last project I made, and it didn't turn out perfectly. That dress was so tight on my 1 year old that she could only wear it for about a week before she grew out of it. Now, she swears that she measured twice on this one, and I only cut once. But hey, once it's cut, you're done. So we're gonna hope that it turns out right. So there is our piece of fabric with the holes cut. And now we are going to take our bias tape and wrap it around the edge. Now remember, when you're making bias tape and you iron it out, you have to iron out one side so it's a little shorter than the other. And then you put the short side on the front. And that way you know that you're grabbing enough bias tape when you're sewing underneath, because you can't see it. So all you need to do is take a pin and pin this around the edge of anything you're sewing. And you can also use Wonder Clips, which is what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna go ahead and clip this around the edge, and then we'll move over to the sewing machine. Okay, now when I pin my bias tape on, I usually only put a couple pins or a couple Wonder Clips on it. And I start sewing behind that first clip. That way it stays in its proper place. And I'm going to go all around with the bias tape anyway and put a piece over the part I didn't sew so that it overlaps. That's just a good trick to start past the foot and start on your bias tape. The reason I only put a couple clips on is because I'm doing a curved piece and I find that I have to adjust it as I go. Now the last time I used bias tape, I did use a bias tape foot for about 5 minutes and realized I did not like it. So I went ahead and did it manually. And I suggest you give both a try. All right, now we're going to be very careful and methodical with this. And as we go around the curves, make sure we get the fabric inside of the bias tape all the way into the corner. Now, don't forget to back stitch. Even though you're going to go overlapping everything, go ahead and give it a back stitch. This is made for a kid. And like I always say, if you're making something for a kid, go ahead and back stitch it because they are going to tear it apart. All right, now you just want to keep making sure that your fabric is inside the corner of the bias tape, okay? Otherwise, it's going to slip out and you're going to have to go back and fix it. It's not too big a deal. I've had to do that before, but it saves you a lot of trouble if you just do it right the first time. All right, just like pins, when you're getting ready to come up on that clip, you can just pull it out. It has served its purpose. We are on our way. All right, now this is a bigger part of the curve too. It's not too difficult, so just have to keep your eye on it, keep going slow, keep going steady, and then pause every once in a while to just tuck in a little bit as you go. Now, I've seen people that do this all the time. All they make is baby clothes and things that use bias tape, and trust me, they can go fast, faster than me. But this is Dad Sews, where I sew things for the very first time on camera in front of you. So, you see the successes or you see the fails? All right. All right, now as you're getting to a curve, you just want to triple check your fabric and make sure it's in that corner mark, all right? Now I am using a very soft, almost fleece fabric for this bib slash smocky smock. I was going to double it up, but I didn't want it to be too thick because A, it's summertime, and adding that much around my baby's neck, I just hate doing that. She gets hot very easy, just like her papa does. So I am going with just a single layer of fabric for this one, but I might double it up if I like this design and we find out it works for us. I also thought about putting some pull on the back, and if you don't know what pull is, that's the stuff they make baby diapers out of. That's kind of like a vinyl on one side and this cloth on the other. That stuff's really cool. It can be very expensive if you don't find a really good place for it. Luckily, I have a really awesome mom and pop fabric store, Fabric Hut, in my backyard, and that is who I use. You can't beat the big pink Fabric Hut. They are the largest fabric dealer in the Mid-Atlantic region, and luckily they are in my backyard. All right, I've gotten around the first curve. I'm just gonna go and finish this around the edge, and then we will be right back so that I can show you the armholes, all right? Be back in a second. Okay, well here we are with the bias tape finished around the edges. Now all we have to do is the armholes. Now these are going to be very close quarters. So what you want to do is cut your bias tape so it's just long enough or just a little bit longer than what you need so that you can go ahead and put it in the circle. I am going to try to use as many Wonder Clips as I can. Actually, I think I'm going to pin this just to give me a little more room. The Wonder Clips are awesome, but they do take up a good bit of room. And hey, if you want to get Wonder Clips for your very own, which are great for stretch fabric like our leggings episode, you can check that out. I'll put a link in the comments and detail info below, and you can get your own Wonder Clips really cheap from Amazon. In the mass market big box fabric stores, let me tell you, Wonder Clips are very pricey, and you can get a much better deal on Amazon, or check out your mom and pop fabric stores. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and clip/pin this, and we'll be right back to finish up the armholes. Okay, now I used a couple Wonder Clips on either side of my foot just to get me started. That extra weight holds the fabric down right behind your foot. It's one of the great things about using a Wonder Clip. Then you just put your finger on it and throw off the other one, and you start sewing. Don't forget that you need to put the shorter side of the bias tape on the front so that you make sure you catch the bias tape on the back. Okay, and I gave it a little bit of a back stitch, and now we sew very slowly and very carefully. If you have to stop and take your foot off the pedal, do that. You want to make sure this is right. It's more important to get it right than to get it done fast, all right? I would love to get stuff done fast too, but getting it right is much better. It's going to be much more impressive when you're certain someone sees that awesome outfit you spent all of this time working on. And you know, the truth of the matter is, your kids, they're not old enough to appreciate it, but your spouse will, and so will the other parents when they see how cool it is, and they're gonna be saying, hey, can you make me one of those? If I buy a piece of fabric, can you just make me one for free? And that's when you say, you need to check out the 5 dumbest things you can ask someone who sews at dadsews.com, because that's in there. All right, we are almost around the curve. That's the cool thing. This is a hard curve, but it's small, so you get around it very fast. And hey, you're gonna be doing it without talking to the camera. And I gotta tell you, it's easier to sew that way. Not that I would really know, because I pretty much only sew for you guys. Like I said, if you miss a piece, you can go and pick it up. You just pop a seam near where you missed, and then go back and pick that up and sew it into your bias tape. I've done it. It can be done, but try not to. All right, once you get close to where you started, make sure you back stitch. Well, there we go. You want to see a close-up? Bam, there's your close-up. I actually like how the bias tape causes it to stick out a little bit so it's not binding on her arms. Now, all I'm going to do is finish up this other armhole, and instead of a snap, I'm actually putting industrial Velcro. You can find that at the fabric department. They have it in little ovals. It can stand up to the washer and the dryer. It's pretty cool. And it's also easy to replace if you need to. So I'm going to put a couple pieces of industrial Velcro, and when you come back, you're going to see my little girl, soon to be 1-year-old Alexi, wearing her new bib/smock. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Dad Sews. Don't forget to go to dadsews.com to see more episodes. And don't forget our motto, sew, fail, repeat. All right, we will see you next time. Stay tuned for the pictures of Alexi. She's gonna be loving it.
This production is brought to you by the Plaid Dad Blog Podcast Network. For more information, visit us at plaiddadblog.com.